Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's info session on Google Solution Challenge. We have two former GDSC leads with us today, Sriman Tenetti and Aynish, to share their experiences with GDSC and provide us with some useful tips for the Google Solution Challenge. I guess there are around 30 participants right now. Um we'll wait for 2 more minutes and then start the session. Okay, so before we begin, Shubh will explain us what the Google Solution Challenge is all about. So over to you, Shubh.
Good evening,
Shubh?
everyone. Well, yeah, hello. I'm audible.
Yes, yes, you are.
Good evening, Vanna, present here. Hello, Anishwarya. Um, so let's start with the solution challenge. So it's a huge challenge, and many of you might have already heard about it. It's a long challenge too, spanning over 5 to 6 months, where you will be building solutions to problems around you. So let's start. So this would be our agenda today, and we will be discussing about what solution challenge is, giving an overview, what the timeline is. So when the challenge starts, when do you have to, when the submission starts, when the results will be announced, and many more timelines. Then we discuss about the eligibility, so who all can participate in this challenge, and your favorite prizes. Then we'll also see the registration form, um, how it would look. Next, we discuss about creating a problem statement. Problem statement that is a necessary component of the solution challenge, which you'll have to submit in the submission form. Later, we'll have a look at the submission criteria and look through each and every question, how you might answer them in the form. And we have some resources for you to help you excel this challenge. And finally, we'll tell you about a kickoff event, which the GDSC India team will be conducting for the solution challenge. Let's dive straight in. So one of the first things is getting started, right? So how would you get started on the solution challenge? So first what you need is an idea, small idea. All it takes is just one question, whether it is a random question or trivial question, or even it might be some impossible question that just came to your mind. So here are some basic questions. So these might seem absurd. What if you could read a plant like a book? So you might think, is that even possible, right? And what if could you help up the stairs with your pants? So yes, people really made those things for elderly people where the pants actually have mechanical motors and all, and they help you climb your stairs. So what if a world of plastic could be turned into anything? What if you could, from the recycled plastic itself, you could make our daily use items, maybe beds, maybe chairs, which you already do, maybe furniture too, plastic of recycled plastic. What if understanding fish behavior could make our seas healthier? So scientists and researchers have been running machine learning algorithms and uh, trying to find out the patterns how the fishes move in the ocean. So thereby we can it will help in aiding cleaning our oceans and let us know of the patterns with the fish move. And what if we could uh, grow a building from a seed? These already grow from seeds. What if we could grow a building too? What if a swimming pool could power the entire planet? These questions weren't just questions. What if? So these questions are the basic seed of idea which are required to start the solution challenge or solve any problem in your community. What if there were no limits to our ideas? What if the technological constraint didn't exist? Suppose you have a great idea, but you're limited by the technology. So what if the technological constraints didn't exist? What if you could have an impact with just the resources available to you? So these are some small tips. So when you start, just start moving in a direction. It doesn't matter if you're starting in the wrong direction. You will get mentorship. The first important thing is to just start. So when you start, you learn along the way. So don't overplan anything or don't make big buildings in your mind that will just crumble. Don't overplan. Just start taking small steps. And remember that you don't have to solve the world's problems. You just have to solve the one problem which is the most personal to you, which you get affected by, or the near and dear around you, the people that affect you. That's it. And you don't need the perfectly technical team. You just need a group of motivated, inspired, and dedicated people to change the world. So now let us discuss what Solution Challenge actually is. So the Google Developer Student Clubs, which are club by Google in almost all the colleges and universities around the world. So their mission is to solve United Nations 17 sustainable goals using Google technology. So what are these sustainable development goals, you might ask? So these SDGs, as they are called, those are the goals set by United Nations and agreed upon by all the 193 member states, which they aim to end poverty, ensure prosperity, and protect the planet by 2030. So Google is one of the key stakeholders which enable this. Solution Challenge is an annual contest. It happens annually every year through the GDSCs from the universities to help solve problems of the local communities using one or more Google products. So, what are the 17 Sustainable Development Goals? As discussed, these are some of the main goals through which we can ensure the well being and prosperity of all the individuals of the world, addressing some of the world's biggest challenges. So, here you can see all the 17 listed out. So, these contain some basic ones to all the whatever problem you might be facing, it definitely falls under any one of these categories. So, it might be under there are five P's which they call. So those are people, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnerships. And the people, we have no poverty. There shouldn't be any person who is poor in this world. Zero hunger. Hunger. Food is the basic essential need, right? But still, there are people hungry in our world. So let us help make solutions to solve that problem. So good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, and for the planet. So how we could have clean water and sanitization for everyone, how we could change people's habits of resource consumption and production to avoid wastage, how we could change the climate, life below water, life on land, and then comes the prosperity. So, how could we make sure that everyone, all the communities in the world are prosperous? That could be done by affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation and infrastructure, and reduced inequalities, sustainable cities and communities. But to help all these happen, the main things we need are peace and partnerships. So peace and partnerships are among the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Peace, justice, and strong institutions, and partnership across countries, across communities for the betterment. Over to Deekshita.
Like I mentioned at the beginning, we have Ainish, our former GDSC lead, who is also currently working as a strategy consultant with EY in the public sector space and has completed his master's in public policy from IIT Delhi. Ainish, could you share with us how your experiences at GDSC have been and what your participation in Google Solution Challenge was like? Yes, yes. Thank you, Anish, for taking your time to join this session and, you know,
Not
in
any.
this short time. Now, Shuk,
Your words are very
could you
inspiration
please
for everyone. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, Dikshita, you were saying something.
I think you should also explain them about the deadlines and all.
Yes, yes. I'll go on to that next. So now we'll see the timeline of how the whole solution challenge goes. So here you can see it spans from December to July. Okay. So it's a very long time, right? So initially in December 1, registration's open. They're already open right now, and I'll give you the links and everything to go register yourself there. On January 11, we have kickoff event, where officially the submissions will actually open from 21, but 10 days before that, the organizers of GDSC, they'll conduct a kickoff event where they'll share more details about the event, more details about the challenge. Next comes the submissions. So by the time the submissions open, it's better to have your ideas ready and your prototypes ready. Because in the submission form, which we'll look at later, they'll be asking about all the details of your project. So what architecture it is, so how it could solve people's problems, and what is the problem statement of your solution, and many more things. So submissions are open from January 21 to February 22, which is a whole month. So it's better to have your ideas ready, teams formed, and the prototypes ready by maximum uh, February first week or Jan last week. Next, we'll be having the judging round, where judges will evaluate your project ideas and your demo videos of the application based on many factors. And after the first judging round, top 100 teams all over the world, all of the universities will be announced in early April. So once the teams are announced, there'll be a mentorship phase where you'll be assigned Googlers and other high-profile people as mentors for your projects, which will guide you through the whole uh, till the end. So next comes the after the mentorship, based on the advice you have got from the mentor. After you incorporate that, there is a resubmission, a top 100 resubmit from April 9 to May 5. And after that, there is another judging round. Later, the top 10 are announced. The final top 10. Now, these 10 teams are allowed to have a demo day. So they have to showcase their solution in a virtual or a physical demo day where the 10 teams will be there along with all the panel of judges. So on the demo day itself, the winning top three teams will be announced. So you might be asking, what are the prizes for these? And are you even eligible to participate or not? So next we'll see the eligibility criteria. So who all can participate here? So university students, which are graduate and undergraduate, they can participate, which almost all of you here are. Then you should be above the age of majority in the country. So that is, you should be above 18 years of old, 18 years of age to participate. So it is open to all any GDS members. You might even ask, what does being a member mean? You are already a GDS member. Make sure you have press the join us button on the website. I'll show you that later. So each person can be only in one team. This is a strict rule. You can't be a participant of both any more than a team, even if you're contributed there. So what are the team building rules? So teams can contain from the teams can be from one or four people, maximum of four people, and at least one person in the team must be a GDSC member through any college. So team representative definitely should be a GDSC member, and they are the one who will submit the team's project. So first, there will be two forms here. First will be the registration form and the submission form. In the registration form, what you will be asked is just if you're interested to participate, you can just fill the registration form. And then comes the team building stage, and after that, the submission form. So the team members can be from different universities, different GDSC chapters, even different countries. So if you have friends in across the world or you know the country in different universities, you can team up with them and build solutions. So if you are not yet a member of PDSC club of Celia chapter, please join us today by scanning the QR code or accessing to the link here. And next we'll discuss the prizes. So what do people get out of participating in the solution challenge? The prizes are only one part of it. the main goal of it is to solve community problems. So moving on to prizes. So these are the four things here. So there will be prizes for top 100, final 10, contestant finalists who are not in the final 10, and winning three. So the top 100 teams will be receiving customized mentorship from Googlers, the people working at Google and experts to take the solution to the next level. You'll also be getting a branded t-shirt and a certificate. And out of the top 100, final 10 teams will be selected. So those will receive additional mentorship, Slack box, developers, showcase the solutions to Googlers and developers all around the world at the demo day. Then comes the contestant finalists. These are the teams who are just barely uh, able to go into the final 10. So seven teams will be selected for that, and they'll be receiving a swag box and a prize per student. So the winnings for each team will not exceed $4,000. So each student will be getting around $1,000. And the last winning three. So these teams, all individuals will be getting a swag box, and all the three teams will receive a cash prize and a feature on Google Developer Stock. And winnings for each qualifying team will not exceed 12,000. So let us now see how to register. So here's the registration link and the QR code. Scan it as soon as possible, share it among your friends, and tell them to register. So who can fill this form? Any and all individuals who are interested in the solution challenge. It's not necessary that once you register, you have to do it. But it would be great if you go ahead and really do the solution challenge. And if even if you're interested, you can just fill the form right now. What are the requirements? All you need to be is interested. You don't even have to have a Zoom right now, and you can do that later. So who should fill out this form? Each individual should fill a complete separate registration form. Even if you're participating as a team, each team member should be filling the registration form. So what are the deadlines? So form is open from December 1 to February 22. And you can fill it in any of this amount of time. Next, we'll look at how to create a problem statement, how to pick a problem statement actually. So it's important to start with an effective problem statement. So your mission will be also evaluated on the quality of problem statement you choose and how you write it. So a good problem statement, as the points say, it should present some opportunities significant, urgent, and has more priority. So if you have, for example, many problems your community faces in your mind, pick the one which is the most significance, most urgent, and has the highest priority. And pick the problems which affect the most number of people and which relate in the simplest term possible and has a large impact on the community. So in the problem statement, also include data about the size and scope of the problem. How many people or how large the community is which is facing the problem, whether with the degree or magnitude. And the problem statement should be from 3 to 6 sentences. So how would you structure it? So all these 3 to 6 sentences, you can structure it in this way. So first start with who is experiencing the problem. It could be your friends or your family. It's not about the how small the segment is. It's about how serious the problem is. So it could be one particular community or minority community, or might be any criteria. For example, students, anyone. So who is experiencing the problem? What segments of the community and how many are they? Then describe what is the problem which is being uh, suffered by them. So describe the issue which is being experienced, and then where and when. So what is the context? What is the situation? Or what are the dynamics of the problem? So how does it happen and why does it happen? And why is it a problem? Is it really important to address it? How would you address it? So you should mention what is the impact of the community to the region, businesses, organizations. For example, you could mention that this uh, affects farmers a lot. Now let us look at the submission criteria for final project. So after registration and building your project, time comes to submit the project. So in the submission, you'll be evaluated on mainly 5 steps. So those are project setup, implementation, feedback and testing, completion of the solution, and scalability. So let us look at each one of those. So there will be 20 questions in the form and all have 5 points. So your submission will be evaluated based on this. Let us look at each of them. First is project setup. So how do you set up the project? So here you have to clearly describe the challenge which you're solving using the problem statement. As we already looked at how to create the problem statement, which you have to use here. And now comes the time to actually address what SDGs you will be solving and what inspired you to select those specific SDGs. It might be that to build the application or some mechanical machine for farmers. There you could select farming, food and nutrition. Similar. So each and every project has to target one or more SDGs. So these are the core of the challenge here. Next comes the implementation. Here you have to describe what way did you implement the solution in. So there could be multiple ways the solution could be implemented in. You have to analyze all the ways and list out why exactly did you choose this way and what is the architecture of your solution. So here you should discuss about the high-level components of the architecture and what each component does. For example, if you have a device, so you could explain about the different components such as all the sensors on the board. If there is a server related to that, then you can also mention that. What responsibility each of the things does, what is being computed on the server, what kind of networks are you using, LoRaWAN, for example, all other things. Is ask which specific products and platforms did you use to implement the components and why. So So when building the solution, you might have gone through different kinds of products and platforms. For example, for hosting the web service, you might have gone through AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. So here you have to write down which specific products did you use and why. What was your reasoning behind using that particular product? Or it might be, for example, a selection of a sensor company. So what company sensors and which models and versions of sensors you are using. So that has to be explained here. Next comes the feedback testing and iteration. So once your prototype is ready, you have to start testing it with the real public as soon as possible. So it will help you gain very useful feedback, which you won't get by running it in development mode. So you have to make it into beta testing and tell the real people give feedback on your uh, project. So here you have to walk them through the steps which you took to test the solution with real users outside of your team, and you have to be providing use from the real users. And you have to mention how did you incorporate those feedback into your solution and how did you improve it based on the feedback from the users. Next comes the code testing and iteration. So here you have to mention one challenge which you face while building your code. So it might be some library or module which is not found in, if you're using a cross-platform app, for example. There will be some libraries or modules which is not available in all the platforms. So what challenges did you face while building code? For example, you might have ported it manually to other platforms, or you might have used some other alternative library instead of that. All these technical decisions and challenges which you face while building the code, I have to mention this. Now comes the success and completion. So how are you tracking that how successful this solution would be? Will people really use it? So what are the metrics, goals, and outcomes of these? And you should mention if you're using any Google technologies to track usage analytics. For example, if it might be a server or a web project, so you might use Google Analytics to track the people and the behavior on the website, and using relevant statistics. And you should show graphs and other things here. If your project doesn't have those real statistics, so you could also include the cause and effect list of cause and effects. Here comes the time to show your working demo in a video, which is of maximum 2 minutes. So here you should show exactly how the application will work and how the user will interact with the application from the start to end. How difficult or how many steps does the user take to access your application, or is it easy for user or difficult for user to use it? So here also mention how effectively are you using Google products. One thing to remember in solution challenge is the more Google products you use, the better your chance of getting selected. And the last two questions come scalability. So now you have the product, you have tested it in with a limited number of people. Do you think it will survive when hundreds or millions of people use it at a time? So what are the future next steps for your project? And how would you expand the solution to reach a larger audience? And also the technical architecture. Will it be able to withstand a larger audience? And what steps would you need to take? For example, it might be adding more servers or scaling it horizontally or vertically and other things. For example, if it's a hardware project, what have to also be considered about the cost of the components of bill of materials and what will be the cost when you mass produce it. So will it be cheaper for people to consume or Will it need some additional funds? This is the overview of all the 10 questions we looked at, which will be given in the submission form. So, which include project setup, implementation, feedback, testing, iteration, success and completion, and scalability. Each consists of 5 points, and this this is the main score by which you'll be evaluated. So again, the timeline registrations from December, mid January. Make sure that you have a good idea, form a team, and start building an experiment. And then submissions close on Feb 22. So before that point, you have to fill the submission form with your product ready. Next starts the judging round. Top 100 are selected, mentors are assigned, and the final 10 are announced. Dikshita, over to you.
Yeah. We also have our well-known GDSC former lead, Sriman Tenetti, who has joined our session now, and he is currently pursuing his graduate studies at the University of Cincinnati, and he also led machine learning team in our college. So, Sriman, could you please share your experiences regarding solution challenge and GDSC with us? Srimantana, hello.
One second. I'll give you the.
Hello, everybody. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you
Please,
are
please.
on.
Yep. So I think Shubh and Ainish and I already have gone through a lot of the experience part. So I would not want to bore you guys again with the same. But I could give some suggestions on how to build stuff because I have worked on quite a lot of things, and I've been trapped in that vicious development cycle sometimes, and I got stuck, and for a lot of time I was not able to move through certain parts of my projects. So I could give just a couple of tips that people can use at the start to make sure that they reach the end of what they're looking at, and to realize what they have in mind. So the first thing that I would recommend is have a proper solid idea in mind. An idea is not just knowing what you want, but what is required for you to build that particular idea or concept that you have as well. They say putting stuff on paper properly solves 50% of the problem itself, because you would see the dependencies that it has. You would see what you would need, what skills you would need, and all sorts of things. Once you solidly put the idea down on paper, everything feels right in the mind. But when you start writing it down on paper, you clearly realize what you have, and what you would need to basically learn once you start building your thing. The next thing that I would say is architecture. A lot of people directly get to code, and to be honest, in my earlier days, I used to do the same thing as well. But that is actually a very bad thing to do. You should for sure have an idea of what architecture you are building in mind. Whether it is a machine learning model, you would need to know what kind of data pipe you have, or how would you want to move the data through the model architecture, the kind of modality of data you would have to deal with, and a lot of other things. And you would also need to know how you would deploy your model. What kind of hardware can you use to address the wider audience? Because she was mentioning scalability. A lot of machine learning models suffer from scalability because of its cost of operation at the larger scale. So how can you make sure that your machine learning model is really easy on the memory, and you can have a large scale deployment for your model? So a lot of things come into play when we talk about these kind of architectures. So it's really important to have that clarity of thought and the architecture put down before you start. And then comes the main development time. So a lot of people usually think that once you have an architecture, would have to stick to it 100%. But in a lot of times, as and when you're building these things from scratch, you realize that what you've initially envisioned, would not be directly possible, and you would have to change it a couple of times. So that is called the iterations, product development iterations. So as and when you start building your thing, there might be many iterations. You just have to be persistent, and you just have to go through all of these iterations strong. And hopefully at the end of your iterations, you would have a solid prototype that you can use to showcase your idea or your vision. And that's it. You basically have built your product. And there's one more thing: when you are trying to present your idea to somebody else, you might have a clarity of thought, you might have all of these things, but you should ensure that the other person who's listening to your idea as well is on the same page as you are, because there is a lot of technical jargon that people can use that a lot of other people would not really understand. So when you address these wider audience, just make sure that you get this jargon to as minimal as possible, and you get these people to understand your core idea and appreciate the core idea itself, rather than the complex product that you've built around certain technologies. Yes, using good technology is important, but also making sure people understand what that technology does for them is also very important, because there's no use for a product that has no market. With that said, that's all I had. That's all I wanted to say to you guys. And if you have anything, please, if you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you, Srimant
Thank you,
Bhaiya.
Srimantana.
Your words were really inspiring and informational. That is some knowledge which can be written down. It always comes from the experience. Thanks a lot. Srimant. Any questions, anyone? You can shoot all the questions. I would also like to let everyone know that the PDSCs, the GDSC team, they also provide some resources, some useful resources, which are tools, videos, and learning materials, which could help you in the journey of solution challenge. Mm, Let me share them here.
Srimantana, I have a question.
Oh yeah, please go ahead.
How long it took you to realize the entire idea and put it as a proper prototype for the solution challenge?
Oh, that's a great question. So the first time when Ainish Anna was the GDSE lead, I was the machine learning lead. So I did not have an idea on what we had to build. So it was a very, very messy development cycle, because it was the first time we ever had a GDSE and we had no clue what to do. But the second time around, when we made the submission, we basically had a 6-month plan that we've used. But it's not necessary that you really have to have a 6-month plan. But I think solid 2 to 3 months of work is enough usually to make a pretty decent submission to the solution challenge. It's more or less how clear you are on what you want to build that defines your development time, rather than you having a stipulated time allocated for building the product itself. So if you know that this is a problem that I want to address and this is how I want to address it, it's not going to take you long to build that product. But for you to come to a consensus with your team and with the other members who are a part of your development, on an idea, that usually takes a lot of time compared to just building the product itself. Because there are a lot of resources available. You have a lot of AI assisted bots that can code now as well. It's just how it is. So you know I seriously think once you have an idea, it's not going to take you long to build it. It's just that you have to have a solid idea to build.
Yeah.
There's a question in the chat. Could you please share your past idea just as an example and how did you approach it?
Oh yeah, sure. So my past idea was a non-invasive cholesterol predictor using machine learning. So there is a data set that is available in the internet from some medical institution that I forget right now, but it's basically certain heart parameters, ECG readings and stuff that you can use to predict cardiac abnormalities. And the way I built my product was I structured the data in a different way, and I trained a model to basically predict a cholesterol level based on history of cardiac abnormalities and those other parameters. So it just structured the data in a different way so that I could get a regression out of it and predict. Have a regression model out of the data and predict the cholesterol levels. So the main idea was you don't need to give your blood samples or other painful process just to get your cholesterol read. It would basically take in some harmless parameters that you can just get through external medium, some data that you can get through some external medium, and some data that you can get through historical um data that having a history of cardiac diseases or having a family history of them or something like that, and possibly get a prediction on a rough estimate on your cholesterol levels and stuff. So that was actually my idea. And yeah, it did take me you know 3 to 4 months, though we had the 6 month plan. Coming to this consensus and coming to this idea, it took us roughly about 3 months, and then 3 more months to build and scale it, and find a platform where I can run this model efficiently and stuff. Yeah, so it took me another 3 months time. And if you guys have questions on where I deployed it, it was basically Intel Dev Cloud. Intel Dev Cloud is a really good platform where you can develop and deploy models. The reason I did not use Google Cloud was because at that time I was not really good with a lot of Google Cloud services, and I've used Dev Cloud almost for 5 years prior to that. So I mean 4 or 5 years prior to that. So I had a good understanding of Dev Cloud and the resources on it. So I ended up using Dev Cloud for my deployment. I hope that answers your question.
I would like to also add that if you have any other doubts on the solution challenge, you can definitely contact us through our social medias and also check out the official website of Solution Challenge, where all the resources are already listed: challenge, timeline, all the goals. You can also see the previous winners, all the FAQs, and other things. Any questions, anyone? Make sure you start getting all the ideas, start writing them up, brainstorm about some ideas, and then select a good idea which solves some problem and start preparing for the solution challenge. If you have any doubts about anything, you can always reach out to us. Also start finding motivated individuals to make your team.
And yes, team member can be from other colleges too, but one has to be
Yes.
has to be a GDSC member.
Very huge thanks to Srimant Bhaiya and Anish Bhaiya for taking the time out and explaining us and guiding us through how to go through the solution challenge. Thanks a lot. Are there any other questions, anyone? Okay, let us end this session here. There does not seem to be any more questions coming in.
Thank you everyone for joining this session.
All the slides and the recording of the session will be available on the event page after a few hours. Thank you, everyone. We're ending the session here.